Where did I... Oh. It's literally right there. Hello all! Welcome back to the Winter Ecosystem. I am Winter, and by the time that you are seeing this, we have made it. Another year has passed. It is now 2025 by the time that you are seeing this. It is December 21st as I am recording this. And I just wanted to make a big ol' video here. That'll probably be over 40 minutes long, similarly to the last one, pushing 50. Just going over everything that we did this year, because across both Remnant Industries and Winter Does Stuff, we have hit some pretty decent highs. We have made some new discoveries about who we are. It's been a wild ride, the last 365-day stretch of both of these channels. So I really just kind of want to get into it because there's a lot of ground that we have to cover, and there's actually going to be a lot of announcements for the future of the Winter Ecosystem as we're going into 2025. And maybe some disappointing things, maybe some things that you guys will be excited about, but in general, there's just a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. So let's get into it. Let's go through all that we've done this year. So, starting back way in the far-off land of January of 2024, we began the year January 1st. I put out the And I Return to Nothingness EP cover, originally from Lorna Shore. This is a project that is part of the larger whole that is The Pain Remains of Nothingness, and I put it out because I wanted to start the year off strong, and I think I really did achieve that goal, because And I Return to Nothingness, that EP is crazy difficult. I still want to do the eventual one take for that and Pain Remains, which we'll get into later. But I put this EP out because I really wanted to start the year strong. It was a really tough EP to cover at first because it's just a lot of stuff. Will Ramos's vocals are very hard to replicate, and I don't even think I reached that boundary of like exactly replicating his stuff, but I really tried to put my own vocal spin on And I Return to Nothingness, and I think it worked. The bass single for And I Return to Nothingness is still the most viewed out of that EP so far, and I'm really, really fucking proud of that. Thank you all for those of you who have viewed that EP, that cover EP, because it was really fun. And again, I would love to do the one take if you guys want me to. Like, that's something I really want to aim towards, being able to do that whole EP in, you know, one long take, as I've done a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, And I Return to Nothingness was awesome. And then over on the Winter Does Stuff side of things, this started the album reaction month. I do intend to do the same thing for 2025, where every Monday and Friday I react to a bunch of just albums. Every single bass upload schedule time for Winter Does Stuff. I think it would be really cool to do this again. I already have some album reactions already filmed, but I think I'm going to do it in February because I don't have all of them filmed, and I don't think I have the time to film all of them right now. But it was really fun. We got Starbound Stories from Mark Hudson. We had In This Moment from, God Mode from In This Moment, which, woof. We had Take Me Back to Eden from Sleep Token, if I remember correctly. That one was a January one. We had Left to Suffer's Feral, I believe that was also one of them. We had, I want to say that, what's it called? Asking Alexandria's Where Do We Go From Here. We just had a bunch of album reactions, and it was really cool to be able to do that. really made that list flesh itself out. It really helped, that list become what it was. And I really think that just doing that, just getting a sense of the community scene in terms of different albums that have released, is a really cool idea. That, again, I would love to do that again, but I think I'm going to go towards February of this next year because, again, I don't have everything filmed for it. But yeah, album reaction month in January was really fucking cool, and I would love to do it again. So yeah, that was awesome. And also on Winter Does Stuff primarily, not so much on the Reminiscent Industry side of things, we did Deltarune Chapter 2. It was really fun. It was really cool to do that chapter. I cannot wait for chapters 3 and 4, which are confirmed to be in 2025. Yeah! I really thought that chapter was fun. I still have yet to go through the weird route, the Pippus route, the Snowgrave route, in its entirety. I will probably do that eventually at some point. I'm thinking about doing more gameplay stuff again, so that's going to be really fun. But yeah, Deltarune Chapter 2, at least going through the normal route of things, was really entertaining. I really liked a lot of what that chapter brought to Deltarune as a whole. Again, I still haven't gone through everything that chapter has to offer, but I thought it was really cool to go into. So can't wait for chapters 3 and 4 and the weird route that you guys are gonna see sometime in the future. I don't really know. And then the last thing of note to be put out was, going back to the Reminiscent Industries side of things, I released the Flash Drive cover EP. 2 EPs in 1 month is crazy insane. I don't think I'll ever do it again like I did there. With And I Return to Nothingness being as challenging as that was, and the full Flash Drive EP originally from DA Games, I try to stick with the hour challenge that Will put towards the original Flash Drive album. And I did succeed in all tracks but one, that being Yellow, because Yellow is a pain in my ass. But for real, Flash Drive was a really fun album to do. I did the one take of it almost immediately after its release. Or actually, it's funny because going through the timeline of the release, I actually put out the one take before the release of the actual album itself, which is kind of funny to think about. I really never thought about that until now, but I put out the one take of Flash Drive just like a day or so before the actual album release, which I think I'm gonna do that again with something maybe coming soon-ish. So, but yeah, that kind of covers the expanse of January. And I Return to Nothingness, the album reaction month, Deltarune Chapter 2, and Flash Drive, which is a lot of stuff to do in 1 month, by the way. It was a really interesting time because I was just on the grind with content. Yeah, that's about it for January. Now, February. First, focusing on the Reminiscent Industry side of things, because the Winter Talks thing that I'm going to be focusing on here is pretty... it's probably going to be a longer like discussion or review of how it kind of helped me out this year. But the first thing was Reminiscent Industries and the Two-Face Charade album. In the middle of the month, right after the double whammy of And I Return to Nothingness and Flash Drive, you guys got the full Two-Face Charade cover album. Which is a bit interesting, because I will admit that it is not up to the quality standard that And I Return to Nothingness or Flash Drive were on. But there is a reason for that, and that reason is that the entire Two-Face Charade album was finished in October, the same month that I finished the Council of the Dead album. And throughout October, I was doing so much that I don't think I really got the chance to properly look over everything, which leads to some decline in quality insurance for each of the stuff that I put out, because I will admit that Council of the Dead, that cover album, was not the greatest. I don't think that Dragon's Charge Volume 1 was the greatest. Volumes 2 and 3 were actually pretty much perfect. out of what I can, you know, think about in my head. There isn't a thing that I would necessarily change about them given my skill set at the time, but Two-Face, Charade, and Council of the Dead are a bit subpar. And while I do say that, I still appreciate the fact that I finally did them, and I don't think I'll be going back to them, at least until I can get, you know, real instruments to try and replicate the instrumentals along with them too. Kind of like how I'm going about with Dawn of the Demetrix. I will definitely be talking about Finalist Edition as we get towards the end of this video into the 2025 talk. But yeah, Two-Face Charade was a really cool thing. It dropped to actually pretty decent viewership, considering that Famous Last Words isn't exactly a band that everybody follows. Searching for a Home in particular, that cover, that single off of the album, got a crazy amount of views, and I don't really know how or why, but thanks for the viewership on that. Thanks for the support on Two-Face Charade. There is going to be more Famous Last Words stuff coming, hopefully in 2025, maybe later in the year, or maybe even early 2026. I don't know. So, yeah, that's about it for the Reminiscent Industries side of things. We didn't exactly do a lot in terms of Reminiscent Industries besides that, because, you know, that was what I was working on. It's a whole album, for God's sake. And then it came. After, what is it now? Or what was it? 5 years of waiting for it to release. Has Been Hotel Season 1 released to the public eye, and I reacted to it. And that, still to this day, is the most successful series of videos on my channel. There's not a single one that is under 200 views, which is insane. And Has Been Hotel, the full season-long reaction, I gotta talk about this actually, because this is really interesting. A lot of people face a bunch of copyright problems with just media in general. I don't seem to have that issue, at least not for a lot of things based from Amazon, because I'm reacting to Legend of Vox Machina and Fallout, those shows from Amazon, and I can get those out just fine. If I'll be honest, I don't have to re-edit the videos like I do for Blue Eye Samurai, which unfortunately you guys will not get episode 2 back. I'll talk about it later, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on with that, and Arcane, which is currently a series that I'm still filming reactions for. But Amazon has been very good to me when it comes to copyright, and I thank them wholeheartedly for letting me put the entire season of Has Been Hotel into one reaction. I actually emailed them about that, and they were like, as long as it fits with the copyright that YouTube's claiming and content ID has, you can post the whole season. We really don't care, as long as, you know, you follow the guidelines with that. And they did. They let me post the entire thing pretty much unedited from the videos, with actually a little bit more leniency than the episodes themselves had, because I had to blur some stuff in terms of just getting the videos out for, you know, copyright purposes, but I didn't have to blur anything with the full season reaction. It was actually really cool that Amazon and A24 actually just gave me the opportunity to do that, which is kind of why I'm a bit sad that it hasn't gotten more viewership. I know, I shouldn't be asking for more, especially when, you know, I'm a smaller channel. I only have 335 subscribers at the time of filming this. I don't know if it'll go up or down or what have you. But yeah, Has Been Hotel Season 1 was really important for me, because the themes in that show are really mature, and they're very, very philosophical. There's a lot of people that still treat Has Been and Hell of a more so Hell of a Boss as just dollar store meme crap as shows, but there's actually a lot of very philosophical and you know, thought-provoking elements to those shows amidst the profanity and the sex jokes. It's a really interesting show, and I implore anybody who's at least a little bit curious to go and watch it, because it's a good show. It may be a little bit short at only what was it, 8 episodes? That's still crazy that it was only 8 episodes and it had a whole bunch of content. Like, I was surprised at the amount of content that they could pack into 8 episodes, but it was really important for me to watch that show over this last year. And I mean, doing my reactions to it boosted the audience up insanely. But it really helped me delve into a lot of traumas that helped reinforce a lot of elements in The Fall as the series, which we will definitely get into. And we'll talk about some things that most of the YouTube audience doesn't actually know about regarding The Fall, and specifically the books. So that's about it for February stuff. Two-Face Raiden, Has Been Hotel were really the only things that came about during that month. Of course, there was the odd video here and there for those two channels, but yeah, that's about it for February. So moving on to March. March was an interesting month. Again, we're going to start with reminiscent industry stuff here because it's the least time-consuming to talk about. We have the Dawn of the Dominatrix Test EP number 2. That released, and I really enjoyed making it. I thought that each of the tracks in there, which were Rock Bottom, Buy a Bond, and We Will Reform, very interesting collection of songs that I really didn't think about it too much when putting those in there, but it did display a lot of what the more current Finalist Edition album has to offer in its entirety. With very, I would say that DOTDE is, or DOTDF, Dawn of the Dominatrix Finalist, is a lot more aggressive in its sound than the original album is. I wanted to put a lot more emphasis on that aggressiveness, that anger, and what the vibe of, you know, early 2020 into 2021 was at the time. And I think it really worked out. I'm going to be talking about DOTD Finalist stuff later on, and maybe even in its own video at some point, but I really enjoyed Test EP2, and I'm really happy that people enjoyed it in general. I thought it was a good collection of songs that really emphasized what I was going for more than Test EP1 did. So, yeah. And now we move on to March for Winter Does Stuff. I took time away. I began the month with a video that has become, oddly enough, one of the most viewed on Winter Does Stuff, which is the title of, well, this is awkward, where I said that I was taking the month of March away because I was focusing a lot on writing for the fall. I was focusing on a lot of reminiscent industry stuff that came later down the line of the year, not so much sooner. Because of something specifically that happened. But I took time away from Winter Does Stuff. I didn't upload except for 2 videos. And I want to talk about those 2 videos because they are the most viewed on my channel. Those being the Red vs. Blue and Ruby ranking videos. I posted those videos, which literally took me like a half hour each, and those blew up. Each of them has, I believe the Ruby one has 10,000 views, and the Red vs. Blue one has well over 12,000, I think, which is, again, the most popular videos on my channel, and I can't begin to comprehend why those videos blew up the way that they did. Maybe it was because Rooster Teeth had just announced its shutdown at the time, and it was like, well, I guess. So yeah, honestly, that's kind of it for March. March wasn't really a content-centric month for both Reminiscent Industries and Winter Does Stuff, considering I took time away from Winter Does Stuff, and considering all that was out in March from Reminiscent Industries was the second test EP, there wasn't a lot for this month, but it was still enough for me to make 4 minutes about, so yeah, that's about it for March. And speaking of little content on Reminiscent Industries, April came, and that was the month where I decided, at least for a time, to say goodbye to Reminiscent Industries. I put out the video entitled Goodbye, which was the announcement that for a good while, at least for the foreseeable future at that time, I was going to abandon Reminiscent Industries because my voice, my vocal quality was deteriorating. I had a lot of stuff going on in the month of April that was very unforeseen. Like, I didn't expect a lot of what happened in April to happen. And it came out that I had to move, which we're going to be talking about for the May discussions, but there was just a lot going on in April. And I thought at that time it would just be best to leave Reminiscent Industries as kind of a dead channel for a good while. So from here until July, we won't really be talking about Reminiscent Industries, just the Winter Does stuff. And then Winter Does Stuff had a boom, because throughout the month of March, as I was taking time away, I was actually building up a lot of videos in the back end, because every single Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, we had 2 reactions every single one of those days on Winter Does Stuff. And those resulted in things like Warp Speed Warriors from Dragon Force, Stay Determined from Sammy, Obi Katy Cat's collection of singles that I reacted to with To the Hellfire, Viking, Circle With Me, and her single fucking TikTok, which is a balls to the wall song and probably one of my favorite tracks of the year, honestly. It was just a crazy month of content. We reacted to a lot of Hell of a Boss stuff. We reacted to the Amazing Digital Circus at that time. I reacted again to Sammy's Stay Determined album, which covered, a lot of that stuff. It covered the Amazing Digital Circus. It covered the Nimona song, I believe I released that month as well. It was just a lot of crazy, as the tagline goes for Winter Does Stuff, it was just a lot of crazy stuff that I loved doing, and I would love to have a month like that again. I don't know if you guys will get one like that anytime soon in terms of like the next 3 months. Maybe I'll try doing it in March, kind of like that, after the album month. That'll probably be February. I think it would be really cool to do something like that again. So yeah, that was Winter Does Stuff. Was just a collage of a lot of shit that happened, or April sorry, was just a collage of a lot of shit that happened all at once. And speaking of a lot of shit that happened all at once, I think it's time we talk about something that I've never really spoken too much about to you guys as the YouTube audience. That being the books of the fall. The fall has been something of a passion project and a reflection into myself that I have more so built up over the last year. And over the last year, I finally decided to put it into full force, because over the last year, I have written from start to finish. I have written 6 books, and I am currently writing the 7th as I am recording this video. I have put out the first trilogy of Before the Fall. I will put each of their covers right here as I'm editing this, and this is a series that I have wanted to make for years. This is something that I am super fucking passionate about, and in April I put out the first of these, Before the Fall, the Archive, onto Wattpad, the website. I will not really give you guys a lot of what the process is going forward for these books, but I put out Before the Fall the Archive, and in the Discord server, a bunch of friends of mine and I read through it. Every single week I put out a different chapter of the book, and it was really, really fun to do that. And we have continued to do so for the books that have come out since. I will, let you guys know about that as we go along the months, because I've put out 3 more books since then, released. I have actually finished, looking at that, I have finished 5. After that, I have finished a total of 6 books, and I'm working on the 7th. But I will tell you guys more about that as we go along. Before the Fall, the Archive tells the story of the Celestials, a race of beings that preside over what is called the Oververse. And if you want to learn more about that, I will have links to the Wattpad page in the description of this video for you guys to see what all of that's about. I really, really do hope that you guys look into this, because these books are the crux of the animated series that is coming sometime down the line. I don't know exactly when that is going to be, but these books are the crux of that. So if you want to learn more about the Fall and the audio logs that I've been building on this channel, you can go down to the Wattpad page and read through them, which I would really, really fucking appreciate. I will say that's all that April had to offer, and we have a bit of a doozy for May. So yeah, that was about it for April. And now we move on to May. May is a complicated month to talk about because I moved to here at the very end of April, and content really didn't start moving again for a little while. I want to say it took like the last half of the month for content to actually begin properly again, because, getting stuff set up in a new place is not exactly the easiest thing. I moved in with my father, and that actually started something known as Winter and Father Reacts. We haven't done a lot of that because I just haven't really brought it up to him. Life stuff has just been pretty busy around here. Streaming services have changed their stuff to include ads, which really screws up the actual recording sessions. So it's gonna be a little bit of time, I think, before that even makes a comeback in terms of just thought process. I don't know how much of that I want to do in the future. I mean, I love communicating with my dad with all the reaction stuff, but it's a little bit difficult, especially on my storage space, to keep all of the uncut versions of those reactions in there. But yeah, Winter and Father Reacts was really cool. We started the Avatar The Last Airbender series and the She-Ra and the Princesses of Power series, 2 of my favorite shows, at least the animated ones that he has never seen before. And we got to, I believe, episode 6 on She-Ra, and we got episode 3 or 4 on Avatar. I'm not really sure. I'll have to look back at everything. I will say that, unfortunately, some of the recordings for those have been removed from my storage space, so you guys might not get those reactions up to that point, but everything after that I do intend to, do stuff differently with how I manage my storage space, especially with the more copyrighted works, especially like with Netflix stuff like Arcane, which again I'll talk about later. But Arcane has really taught me a lot of what I should do in the future when it comes to copyrighted material. So that's about it for Winter and Father Reacts. But also in May, I reacted to Red vs. Blue Restoration, which is probably one of my favorite reactions that I've ever done. Red vs. Blue is my favorite show of all time. I'll admit it. And I Red vs. Blue Restoration was very emotional for me. I wouldn't even say it is the best of the finales that the show has had. I wouldn't say it's the worst, but I wouldn't say it's anywhere near the likes of the Chorus trilogy or the end of the Freelancer saga. But I loved Restoration. I really did. Again, like, it wasn't perfect, but it was the way the show itself wanted to go out. So I can give it credit for that. And I absolutely love doing that reaction. I really hope to do more stuff like movies in the future. I have Nimona planned as a movie to watch because my friend Sammy, Psychotic Fox, Lone Wolf Music, he's a friend of mine. They've recommended Nimona to me, and I've actually gotten comments, recommending Nimona stuff before too. So I might do that movie reaction maybe sometime 2025. I don't know, maybe more movie stuff in the future. But yeah, that's about it for the May stuff. Moving is hard, and within the past 2 years, I have moved like 6 times. So again, it was really hard to do, but this is, I've said this the last few times, but I hope that this is a place that I will stay for the very foreseeable future. Like, far into it for as long as I can. So that's about it for May stuff. Now, June was a weird month because to me personally it feels like I did a lot less in June than I did anything else. I'll admit that because only about 5 videos went up on the Winter Dust Up side of things in July, which was where I was doing a lot of stuff in June. So I did a lot that June had to offer in May because I was just having a weird kind of burnout issue towards the month of June, but July was where I really got it back. We kind of started things on Winter Does Stuff, again, because Reminiscent Industries was kind of just... we had the Return of the One Takes with Madman. I really liked doing that one take. I probably honestly want to do it again because I feel like I could do it a lot better than I did. Tell me if you guys wanted to see that. Like a redo of the Madman one take. That'd be kind of cool. We got a pretty good bunch of reactions. Things like Darko US, the Electric Callboy, and Baby Metal collab Ratatata, or Ratatata. Sorry. We got a bunch of Architects reactions, and we also reacted to Knocked Loose, and the album You Won't Go Where You're Supposed to, or You'll Go Where You're Supposed to. I can't remember the title of that one. It's a really long title. That album was great. It's probably one of my favorites of the year, if not my favorite. Actually, never mind. I already know what my favorite is. And we also had the emergence of The Amazing Digital Circus Episode 2. I reacted to that in June. And I am going to be reacting to episodes 3 and 4, along with Sammy, Psychotic Fox, and their song, What Is Real, pretty soon here. This next week, as I'm recording this, is going to have those reactions, so stay tuned for those. But yeah, June wasn't a very exciting month, and I'll be honest, on the Winter Dust Stuff side of things, July wasn't either, but that's because in July, Reminiscent Industries came back. And it came back with probably the biggest what the fuck moment of the year for my audience, that being the Pain Remains album. I put out the entire Pain Remains album from Lorna Shore. Every single track, Welcome Back, Oh Sleeping Dreamer, to the Pain Remains trilogy, just randomly. There was no preamble, there was no live stream to accompany it. It was just the album, all 10 tracks, the single videos that hadn't been released yet, just everything coming out all at once. And I absolutely loved doing this album. It was a lot of fun. I had all of it recorded at the place that I was before this with my aunt and uncle. But I just had to mix it, master it, do all of that happy jazz. As I said, in June, I was in a bit of a slump. I was in a bit of a mental rut, and I didn't know how to get myself out. Turns out, music is how I got myself out, and I did that. And I produced the entire album throughout the end of June, early July, and just put it out for y'all. And I fucking loved it. I think it's probably the best cover on the channel as I'm recording this. I will not say that it is the best cover, in the future. I think there is one in particular that's coming out pretty soon as I'm recording this that's going to be about twice as good, if not 3 times. But yeah, Pain Remains was awesome. And similarly to I Return to Nothingness, I would like to do the insane thing and do a one take of both the Pain Remains trilogy just to test it out, and the Pain Remains album just to test to see just how far I can go in terms of that. So yeah, Reminiscent Industries came back with a bunch of stuff involving that. Also, the cover of Silver and Clean from Kingdom Hearts. It was the 20th the 21st anniversary of Kingdom Hearts when I first put out that cover, and I love that cover. Simple and Clean is probably one of my favorite songs from Kingdom Hearts. I want to do Sanctuary in the future and Face My Fears if I can. So stay tuned for those, because those are coming. I actually have made significant progress on Face My Fears, so maybe you'll get that in January. Who knows? Then Winter Does Stuff only had a few things. It had the Join the Bloodline reaction, which got views. I put out a few mashup reactions here and there that I had saved from the recorded mashup months that was planned for the May dates. And I also recorded my reaction to the most abysmal thing on my channel so far, that being El Horso, which got more views than I ever thought it would, more likes than I ever thought it would. I believe it is the most liked video on the channel, which is just fucking sad. You guys will get the El Zebro reaction decently soon, along with El Zoinko, because that's also coming decently soon. And I don't know when El Camelo is scheduled for. I don't even know if they're still doing it, but the Council of Horso are always, devious and mysterious in their twisted ways, so I will be not so eagerly awaiting any releases from them. So that's about it on the Winter Does Stuff side of things. But it isn't the end of July, because in July I put out Before the Fall Book 2, entitled The Tale of Alistair. This book, yes, I am going to be explaining these. If you don't like this, skip to the next section. I don't fucking care! Before the Fall Book 2 takes place many thousands of years after Before the Fall Book 1, telling the story of Mr. Geoffrey Alistair, the very first character ever created for the Fall about 11 years ago, back when I was a wee lad. And it tells the story of how, in his amnesiac state, he ends up in the world of Remnata, getting thrust into a world of crime and impossibility and just the most horrible shit, and meets a good few people along the way. So, yeah, that's that one. That one released, again, we read it in the Discord server. If you want to join us for future readings of the fall after you've finished maybe reading the books, you can definitely do that. I'll leave the link in the description for the Discord. But yeah, we did that one, and it is the longest Before the Fall book, by far and by and large. It's pretty much a whole proper book unto itself. That is something I will say for the Before the Fall books. They're not, besides Tale of Alistair, they're not full books. They're not short stories, but they're not books. They're like half books. So yeah, Tale of Alistair was great, and I loved doing it. But yeah, that's about it for July. We had a bunch of stuff, but not enough to write home about, except for Reminiscent Industries stuff. And that leads us to August, where it was kind of a content drought. but for a good reason. Going into August is interesting because August itself didn't have a whole lot of hosted content from me. It was a very barren expanse of content in terms of any uploads, in terms of both Reminiscent Industries and Winter Does stuff. But that's because I was preparing for September, which we will be talking about after this section. But also in August was right after the release of Before the Fall Book 2, I decided, you know what? Fuck it. Before the Fall Book 3, I already had it written at that time. Before the Fall Book 3, entitled The Trials, is the story of Mr. Devlin Dark as he navigates a very Squid Game / Saw kind of environment. It's very twisted, it's very fucked up, and it's very traumatic for all of the characters involved. But it really introduces Devlin as a character, and it introduces what he brings to the table for the proper series of The Fall going forward. Now, as I've said, Before the Fall is a trilogy of books, The Archive, Tale of Alistair, and The Trials. And they essentially bring forth the core themes of The Fall and its universe to the reader in case you want more than just The Fall Book 1 and onwards, as a sense of where this story will go and how it ties together. It also brings forth, as I said, all of the themes together. It brings forth every single kind of topic that'll be talked about throughout the rest of the series going forward. And we'll definitely be talking about The Fall Book 1 and everything that's going forward after that. So yeah, that's about it for August. August wasn't really much, I'll be honest. It was just a lot of preparing for September. And speaking of which, September brought in a crap ton of stuff. It was the start of Winter Talks Season 1. The big, well, not necessarily big, but it started the podcast series that I'm doing. The podcast interview series where I talk to pretty much everybody around the space, whether that be voice actors, musicians, graphic designers, graphic engineers, voice directors, anything like that. It's all there. Winter Talks Season 1 started in September, with guests such as Trixie, also known as LK Corvus. Hi, my name is Shan. I interviewed the John Candy. I interviewed Chloe Eves, and I will talk about that Winter Talks episode. Chloe and I both decided that it would be best for both of us to remove that video, considering there's a lot of stuff between their community and mine that doesn't exactly mesh well. So we decided to fully remove that Winter Talks video. I mean, Chloe and I are still on good terms, but we kind of just wanted to lay that one down, put it to bed. I talked with Trey Watson. I talked with a bunch of other mashup creators, honestly. I talked with TC Music. God, I can't believe I forgot who number 6 was. I talked with Lulu Gray as well. And I also talked with Mr. Pastel Floofy. That was the main core cast for Season 1 of Winter Talks. Season 2 was December. We're going to get into that. And Winter Talks was really fun. It got me into, expanding outwards and actually, talking with people instead of staying on my lonesome. I got a team behind me throughout the score of December, that being Leadus the Unfortunate, also known as LTU Games. Memory Nightmare is on my team as well, and also the Mr. The Real Unknown. We'll be talking about Unknown in a bit here because we've got something to discuss about him in the more 2025 and even December pieces of this video. So yeah, there's a lot of that stuff. So it was mainly just a Winter Does Stuff centric month, I'll be perfectly honest. We reacted to the Murder Drones finale. I started reactions to Blue Eye Samurai and the Fallout TV show. Those are amazing. I still have yet to continue those from their episode 2s, along with something that we'll get to in the October section, but I'm focusing all of my efforts on Arcane right now because Arcane is just a lot of copyright work to deal with, and it's a pain in my ass. I really just want to focus on that and then get it out of the way so that I can continue with the regular upload schedule that I normally have for you guys. And we also started the single best series on either channel entitled Winter Duck Stuff, where I go to the pond that I live nearby and record the fellow ducks that are in the pond there. It is the best series on the channel. You might get a few things that like nobody has ever heard from me. And I will be recording more Winter Duck stuff in the future, starting in like March of next year, all the way until the winter time. Get it? Winter. Laugh! And yeah, Winter Duck stuff will continue in the future with episodes 6 through however long it takes for more Winter Duck stuff to pass me by in terms of my interests. I love the ducks. I love Winter Duck stuff. It is my favorite thing that I have ever done, period. With absolutely no exaggeration and no hesitation. That's about it for September. We put out the cover of September by Daughtry, which was fun on Reminiscent Industries, but not a lot of other stuff. So, yeah, that's September. And now we move on to October, where there was similarly a lot of stuff. We started, let's start on the Winter Does Stuff side of things, because Reminiscent Industries has a lot going for it for October, which is kind of crazy to think about, because for a long time, it didn't. So, Legend of Vox Machina was started on the channel. I've gotten quite the favorable amount of interactions from the Critter fandom, also known as the Critical Role fandom, for reacting to the first 2 episodes. Again, I do intend to continue that show when I can, along with Blue Eye Samurai and Fallout. I just have to get Arcane done, because Arcane is just filling a lot of my time in terms of re-editing it, in terms of the copyright stuff. Just a lot of shit with that. Netflix is a total ass when it comes to that. But yeah, we reacted to that. We reacted to Breaking Benjamin's Awaken. Probably one of my favorite bands of all time is Breaking Benjamin, and we got a new single from them, and I want to think that a new album is coming to us in 2025, and I'm really fucking excited for that. I also did, moving on to kind of the Reminiscent Industries side of things, I did a one take and a full cover of Awaken during the month of October, which is absolutely insane. I don't think I've done like a new song cover that quickly before. Within like the first 2 weeks, I want to say, I did that cover, which is absolutely crazy. I didn't think I would have been able to, but it was really cool. Now, focusing in on Reminiscent Industries, we have 2 big topics to talk about here. The first one being Onyx Colony Rebirth. This is a project that was started by myself and content creators Shardline and Black Ryuk as a test to see what we could do together. As a full skill set, we planned to do 2 albums of 13 tracks of the Onyx Colony discography, Will Ryan's old musical project from way back 2010, 11, and 12 were the kind of timelines for that music. And I loved the progress that we've made. We completed 5 songs from the collection, and I will say that the project is still on an indefinite hiatus, but the plan is for myself, Ryuk, and Shardline to go back to Onyx Colony at some point in time and finish the songs that we started back in, God, I want to say we kind of started the project in like 2022. We kind of came up with the idea, and then 2 years later on the day, yeah, that's right, because it was October, I want to say it was like October 14th that we kind of came together and started working on the project, and then 2 years later I put out the EP entitled Onyx Colony Rebirth, the Recovered Project, because those are the only ones that those were the only demos that I could salvage from that period. But rest assured, there is hopefully more coming with that, and I really hope to reconnect with Ryuk and Shard in the future to finish what we started with that project, because there was a lot that we were going to do with that you guys just have no fucking idea about. And then we get to probably the coolest thing that I've done this year. Winter Talks has been awesome. Reacting to Blue Eye Samurai, Fallout, Vox Machina, and Edge of Sleep, and all of that happy jazz has been awesome. But I specifically want to talk about my original project for a second, The Broken Visage. This was a project that I did with content creator Black Ryuk, who also helped on Onyx Colony Rebirth. He created 5 instrumental tracks. I was only able to do 3 of those 5 instrumentals and input them with lyrics, but what I will tell you guys is that I am working on restoring tracks 2 and 3 of the original project to a fuller glory. But Broken Visage was a project that I work on with Black Ryuk, and it really helped me delve into some more of the traumas that have been stemming back years that I've had from multiple people, from multiple different kind of eras of my life, multiple different sections of it that I've never really gotten to explore before. And I mean, listening to that EP, you can definitely connect it to one certain section of my life that was a lot more recent than not. But I will say that there's a lot about the Broken Visage that people don't know, especially considering tracks 2 and 3 have a lot more to deal with the stuff that's outside of that one particular event. So that's all I'm really going to say for Broken Visage. As I said, I do plan to do the original, full thing with the last 2 tracks entitled Uneasy Transitioning and The Flawed Insight. But yeah, that was my journey in October. Except for the fact that we put out the Fall Book 1, baby! The Fall Book 1 came out. It is the starting of the journey of Mr. Samuel Barrington, the main character of The Fall, as he embarks on the grand journey across the Oververse to defeat an entity known as the Negative, which is the primary antagonist of the series. I am so proud of the Fall Book 1, and as of just this past Wednesday, the people in the Discord server and I have finished reading the book. The full thing is out, and there's a lot more to cover with The Fall, and I'm going to be talking about that in the 2025 announcement stuff that's kind of at the end of this video. But yeah, I loved reading the Fall Book 1 with the chat. I loved writing it just in general, and I've loved writing The Fall so far, and trust me, I'm not going to shut up about it. So either get with the program or get out of here, because I'm going to be talking about The Fall for days on end, baby. I think that's going to be it for October stuff. There wasn't a lot else besides that kind of stuff, just a few miscellaneous covers here and there. That's about it. Now, going into November, I suppose we'll start on the reminiscent industry side of things. I started doing a bunch more of the covers that I want to do, the ones that aren't Iris. Those being, I started doing more Muse covers, I've started doing more I Prevail covers, Breaking Benjamin, and I even put out a cover from Ice Nine Kills, that being Welcome to Horrorwood. I plan to expand these into full cover album projects in the future, especially Muse and Breaking Benjamin. I plan to do a lot of Ice Nine Kills and I Prevail, just not as much of them as Breaking Benjamin and Muse, as those are 2 of my favorite bands of all time. But I just really want to expand outward and not just do DA Games and Iris, which is really funny because of what December brought to the table. Then for the Winter Does Stuff side of things, actually a lot happened in November, although not as much as people, it's more than people would think. That's the phrase that I'm searching for here. We started the month with Ruby Volume 5 Redux, a little series by a good friend of mine, Smaller Soul. He's going to have a Winter Talks episode in Season 3, which is kind of crazy because I have only just met him. And I also reacted to The Edge of Sleep, Episode 1, that I will be also continuing along with Fallout, Blue Eye Samurai, and Legend of Vox Machina in the future. I have all of Edge of Sleep saved on my computer. It's unfortunate because Edge of Sleep is getting taken down from Amazon, which is crazy to think about. It's like they really don't want Mark to be able to do this, man. And I also reacted to episodes 9, 10, and Hell of a Shorts 2, 3, and 4 for Hell of a Boss. I reacted to all of that happy jazz because I love Hell of a Boss. It's a really cool series. And in terms of Winter Does stuff, I also reacted to Make Them Suffer's self-titled album. It was a really cool album. It's probably one of my favorites of the year. Make Them Suffer is probably one of my favorite Australian metalcore groups. Australian metalcore is just top of the game. I love the stuff that comes out of there. But yeah, November was a lot of just the smaller stuff in terms of just the grander scale of the winter ecosystem. But I still really liked a lot of what we did there. So yeah. That's November for you. And then in December, we started everything swinging with Winter Talks Season 2 starting releasing with special guests such as, let's see here, we have Brandon BBB, we have The Real Unknown team member, we have Letus, another team member, we have Photon, we have Cosmic Latte, we have my buddy Rykog. We had a lot of people in there. And I really like Winter Talks Season 2. It's not as... I wouldn't say it's as grandiose in, expectation and, some of the guests being on there are not as big. But, people like Cosmic Latte and Brandon BBB and The Real Unknown and my buddy Letus all kind of really make that add up. And I really enjoyed my time with all of the people on Winter Talk Season 2. I know it seems like I'm downplaying a lot of the guests that are on there, but no, I really enjoyed having all of you guys on. And it was also the premiere of myself on Winter Talks, just me in one of the episodes. And that was a really therapeutic experience for me because I got to talk about things that I never really get to talk about on either of the channels. So I really hope you guys enjoyed that. Winter Talk Season 3 has its full cast list. Season 4 is already in the works with the cast list, and we want to record Winter Talk Season 3 stuff in February-ish, like end of January, beginning of February, to have it release in like April, May time. So yeah, that'll be really cool. We had the whole winter ecosystem Q&A, which was awesome. I really love doing that. We might do another one around, June time, the same time we did the last, like the very first one. So that'll be really cool to do. And we also had the announcement of 2 years of Winter Does Stuff officially. December 3rd is the anniversary of me regularly uploading on Winter Does Stuff, which is really, really cool. I love what Winter Does Stuff has grown into, and I would love to see where it goes from here. So I think that's about it from the Winter Does Stuff side of things. Now let's go to Reminiscent Industries, because we had something particularly big there. For Reminiscent Industries, we had a fuck ton of covers. I started doing DA Games covers again with United We Stand. I did the cover of OK Goodnight's Awake for hopefully the final time. I love that cover. It's so damn good. And at the end of the month, we had the essentially quadruple whammy of Aftermath from Muse featuring an instrumental from my buddy Oliver. I'll link his channel I've already linked it in the Aftermath cover, and I'll link it in this one below, but Oliver is a fantastic orchestral musician, and he did the instrumental for Aftermath in a lovely fashion. Please go support him. He's so fucking good at what he does. And I also did the cover of Castle That Burns from Iris, because that cover has been long in the works. I've got stuff to talk about with Heart of an Artist Resurrection in the 2025 section. So if you can't wait, go to that, because that's going to be huge next year. And I also did the cover of Press Start Together, which released New Year's Eve. And I'm really, really proud of that cover. It's probably one of the better ones that I've done throughout this year. But I said quadruple whammy, because that brings us a track that was released on Christmas. That being Physically Ill, my very first nerdcore original song with instrumental done by my buddy The Real Unknown, and the further announcement of Players and Pieces, my nerdcore album, which is hopefully coming out by the end of next year. And I am so stoked for Players and Pieces. I'm actually going to give you guys the rundown of everything that's in Players and Pieces in the 2025 section. So, yeah, we did a lot of crazy stuff this year. And that's kind of my tagline now. It's just doing crazy stuff. I loved everything that we've done, from the reactions to Winter Talks, which will continue for as long as I want it to, for the different kinds of reactions, the shows that have begun on the channel, you know, Vox Machina, Blue Eye Samurai, Fallout, Arcane, Edge of Sleep, Ruby, Volume 5 Redux. It's all such cool fucking stuff, and I have loved doing it with, you know, each and every one of you. I'll also get back to live streaming soon if I can. I would really like to do that. You guys are gonna get gameplays from me soon. I think that's gonna be absolutely sick. And there's just a lot of stuff that happened this year, and it's really, really cool to think that I did all of it. And now, you know, having an official team behind me, I can do more stuff in the future. Again, I'm going to be talking about that in the 2025 announcements section. So, speaking of that, special announcements for 2025. First off, the thing I want to get out of the way, yes, Dawn of the Demetrix Finalist Edition is releasing January 24th, the 2-year anniversary of when I put out the what is now the Legacy cover album of Dawn of the Demetrix Finalist Edition. At this moment, the entire album is done. Every single track from Dawn, Rock Bottom, Demetrix, all of those, to things like I'm Sorry, Martha Hive, Peace Be Thy Name, it is all done. And there's also a bonus goodie that you guys are going to get for that towards the end of the album, and I won't say what it is quite yet, but I think the majority of my audience is going to be pretty surprised with that one. So yeah, Dawn of the Demetrix Finalist Edition is finally releasing January 24th. It has been a 17-month-long production process for me, and it has been absolutely insane. I literally just got done with it a few days ago, and I will be putting up the album for premiere for the 24th pretty soon here. And I'm just really, really excited for you guys to see what I've done with this album, because this is gonna be the best cover album on the channel, at least for a while, if not years. Like, it is, I have put so much hard work into it, and I'm really excited for you all to see where it goes. In terms of other announcements, I am still working hard at Muse stuff, you know, Breaking Benjamin, Even I Prevail, and Ice Nine Kills, but the main thing I am focusing on is Heart of an Artist Resurrection. And yes, you guys will be getting it on May 24th. I already have just about half of the songs done for this album. Yes, since I have gotten more into the swing of things for Reminiscent Industries, and by proxy Dawn of the Demetrix Finalist Edition, I've started kind of covering everything, and so far Heart of an Artist Resurrection is doing really good progress. I've gotten Castle That Burns done, of course. I've gotten Lost Now Found, Kings and Queens, Castle That Never Dies. I am hard at work at Draw the Line and SOS. Those are almost done, Draw the Line being closer than SOS. And I've gotten things like Too Dangerous, You're Just Making Us Stronger, Heart of an Artist, and As the Lights Go Out already started. I've gotten every single track on that album already started. There's not exactly significant progress with every single one, which is why I'm not kind of mentioning all of them, but rest assured, it'll be out May 24th, which is absolutely insane for me to say. 2 Iris Records, in terms of cover album stuff that I'm putting just about the same amount of work and passion and effort into in the span of a year. I normally only do like 2. No, never mind, then it makes sense then. And I want to kind of focus things towards Winter Dust stuff for a bit, because I'm making a decision here. there is a lot that is going on in my personal life right now. And for the better half of this year, it's been hard to keep up with Winter Does Stuff. And no, this is not the end of Winter Does Stuff, but I will be taking, I want to say, just about like every 2 months or so, there's going to be months with no activity. I'm deciding on that now. January, February, and March will have content for 2025. I promise you that. But April and May, not so much. And then June and July, yes. August and September, not as much. And it'll go around that same cycle because I'm just having a hard time balancing the content stuff and the life stuff with me personally. I just want to keep a consistent schedule in that vein that also helps you guys get more content, because during the months that will have content, you guys will get more of it than ever before. So I wanted to bring that up because, again, there's just a lot going on right now. 2025 is going to be a lot for me to handle, but I really, really hope that you guys enjoy it for what it does give you. And I want to give as much of it as I can. I will say that is it for Winter Does stuff, but we have more Reminiscent Industries stuff, so let's talk about it. We have Players and Pieces, the Nerdcore album. If I do everything right, the Nerdcore album should be done by December of next year. What I want to do throughout this year is I want to release a new original song just about every month or so, if I can handle it. There's already a song that is just about prepared to go out in January, alongside that month. Players and Pieces has the lead single Physically Ill coming out in 4 days as I'm recording this. It's not out yet, but Physically Ill is coming out in 4 days from the time of recording this. It'll already be out by the time you guys are seeing this. And I hope to do original stuff throughout the next year. And what you guys will see is not just the Nerdcore stuff, but other stuff as well, because I'm also working on a project known as Ending the Memory and Reminiscent Desolation, the 2 fully original albums that I'm doing. You guys will get singles based on mostly Ending the Memory, I think, throughout this year, and then next year, like 2025 year, you guys will get singles, and then I hope that in 2026 you guys will get the full albums of both Ending the Memory and Reminiscent Desolation. And I am also working hard at another original project, which I'm actually able to announce here, the My Consequenced Vocalized Edition stuff. I am working with good friend Matthew Slater, who also has a Winter Talks interview in the near-ish future, and doing vocalized and lyricized editions of his My Consequence albums. I'm going to be starting from the 16-track self-titled LP to the Where the World Burns, and to even the 3rd album that is coming out decently soon-ish. I've still got to get a message from Matt saying exactly when that goes out so that I can react to it before the album goes out. Matt, I need you to work! But I think it's going to be really fun to do that stuff. I'm going to be putting out that stuff next year. There's just going to be a lot that's happening next year. As I said, there's going to be potential movie reactions such as Nimona. I'm going to be reacting to more shows, as I said, like The Edge of Sleep, Vox Machina, Blue Eye Samurai, Fallout, all of that happy jazz. I'm going to be finishing the Ruby Volume 5 Redux series before I do the interview with Smaller Soul. So yeah, there's just going to be a lot of stuff in 2025. It's going to be a big year, I think. I think 2025 is finally where I really get into gear with both sides of the spectrum in terms of Reminiscent Industries and Winter Does stuff. This year was definitely a lot more Winter Does stuff focused. Last year was a lot more Reminiscent Industries focused, because we all know that from August onward we had a lot of Reminiscent Industries stuff. But this is definitely going to be a Winter Does stuff centric year, 2024, and then 25 is just going to be just an all kinds of things kind of year for me. So I think that's about it from me. I think I've said everything that I've needed to say about 2024. It's been rough, and I will not say that it has necessarily been kind to me in a lot of spaces, especially, out here in my real life and not just on the content creation side of things. But I am hoping that it'll get better, and I think that 2025 is just going to be a kick-ass year. So, with all that being said, I've been Winter, and we have survived 2024. That's going to be about it from me. So if you've liked, you can, comment on what you think is going to be cool for next year, what you've loved about this year, and all that happy jazz. Sub to both Winter Dust Stuff and Reminiscent Industries. That's about it from me. Peace. In due time.